Hey, everybody. Welcome back to What the Hell, Vedika. We are here today with Chris Geisler.
Join Mike, Janda, and guests to discuss the things that make creative people say, what the hell, Vedika.
And Bri Taylor, who Bri, most of you know. Chris is a unique guest for us. We met Chris at Morepalooza a couple weeks ago in London, and he took our group through what to some people, Chris, was their most favorite part of the entire 4 or 5 days that we went through. I've asked that and I've heard it multiple times.
Love that.
Yeah. So
I don't know what you got up to, so I'm not going to judge whether that's a good...
Yeah, exactly. The rest of it was terrible.
It was Mike's accent the rest of the time, so the bar was set.
Everybody loved my accent. Everybody loved my accent. Okay, so let's dig in, and I'll give you a little introduction to Chris. So Chris led us through some breathing work that Bri put on the schedule, and I was like, this is going to be dumb. And Bri said, no, people will like it. And I was like, okay, fine. I didn't want to have that battle. And then she said, and we can do a cold plunge. And I was like, okay. I was more interested in that because it's kind of more of a like get down, dig in, kind of gut through it kind of thing, which is more my vibe. But I did think the breathing work, which I did not anticipate liking, I loved it. I loved it. So Chris took us through this exercise, and right from the very beginning, we came in, he sat down, and I'm all intense anyway, and he was like so peaceful, it was unnerving to me. And so we thought we would have him on here to hopefully share with me and everybody else a few things about how to find more peace in your life. Our creative entrepreneur group that listens to this podcast is filled with stressed out, strung out, agitated, wired, coffee-filled creatives that deal with imposter syndrome and deadlines and subjective feedback from clients, and clients who are not sometimes the nicest people to work with and deliver feedback. I think we're just a uniquely stressed out kind of group, and we're all emotional because so much of what we do is putting our heart into something and then asking somebody for feedback on it. I'm going to work on this and it came from my soul. Here's my art design. And then what do you think? And then we have to deal with someone else's opinion, and it's really challenging. So that's the kind of stuff that we're going to talk about today. But Chris, why don't you give us a little background on you and how kind of your journey that led you to become so peaceful? I'm curious. Were you ever agitated and strung out like I am, like super high intensity and wired?
Yes, I'm wired in different ways now, but I'm definitely wired. Yeah, just thank you firstly just for bringing me on. And yes, you named the uniqueness of me, maybe in this space, a little different perhaps to your other guests, as we'll find out. But yeah, maybe I think I'm just unique everywhere. We'll dig into a bit my journey. Cause you mentioned some of the challenges, that a lot of people will resonate with, which is like how we manage and respond to stress. And it's everywhere. And it is how we respond to it. It's how we relate to stress that really defines what it is. So, yeah, a bit about me. Yeah, well, I was definitely not this calm and this present for most of my life up until the last maybe 3 to 5 years. I've definitely noticed that I can now be in the city of London and be someone that is more attuned to what I need in any given moment, and I can respond to that. So yes, I get stressed, of course. Yes, I'm challenged, like a lot of to-dos. How do I prioritize certain things? As I am a entrepreneur, I'm a self-employed man who created a few different avenues of let's say creativity. I've been a podcaster for 5 years. I've been leading men's groups for 3 years, and teaching movement and embodiment practices. Now breathwork and contrast therapy, which we delved into. And these are tools. These are really incredible ways to meet ourselves, and really, as we experienced in that workshop, to really understand with the support of others how we can adapt and respond to stress, as I'm sure we'll get into. But my journey really, like, I was age 19. I went to prison 3 times in a year. There was a lot of chaos as a young man who didn't know who I was.
Everybody wants to know why you went to prison. Are you
Yeah, for sure.
okay to share that? Like, what?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I wouldn't have been 10 years ago. I would have still been in a lot of shame around it. I remember applying for a visa in Australia. This is, was probably like 6 years after it happened, and I just shut down. I couldn't communicate with the people around me. My person I was with at the time, I just felt so like afraid of the judgment of others, because I was judging myself still ultimately. It was a lot of anger that I was carrying. I would get into fights. I'd go out in the weekends and party and end up hurting people physically, because I just didn't know how to control the anger that was within me, which was really related to a lot of childhood things. And I go into quite a lot of detail with this in on my podcast, and there's no stone left unturned online, because I do share this stuff. But it was really the relational aspect of how I was relating to my life. I was confused. I didn't have a direction, and I always say it's hard to be present if you don't have a direction. And I work with a lot of men that really are challenged with this, and I think in our modern day, it's so important to know where we're going, because there's so many directions that we can choose from, so many opportunities, and we're privileged in this way, but it really causes this chaos and this confusion. I think a lot of young people are faced with this. It causes anxiety, it causes depression. It was really about my direction and what was really how I was showing up and what I was of service to. So age 19, went into prison, and I was just getting into fights fundamentally. And I'd learnt my lesson before I went in. I can't say prison really taught me so much. It never teaches you how to not go back. And is evident in the amount of repeat offenders that I was around. I think to some extent it put me in an environment that didn't serve me again. But I left. I went to university very quickly, and I was still out of alignment. Like, didn't really know what my values were, had the classic role models around me or people that inspired me. There was one point where I was like, there's no one in this country that inspires me. And that was the story I had in my head. I was listening to podcasts, and this is like when I started my journey really of like really going inward and understanding like, why am I the way I am? And I think that's an important question for anyone to really ask, like, what got me here, and what's not going to get me there, and to really start reflecting and contemplating. And I've always had these big questions, like these big, maybe existential questions, or what is life, and why am I here? And I think they're important questions, but I was kind of stifled with them. It really like caused tension and stress, and I didn't have many answers. But it really took a long time to really come into more calm and presence. And maybe that's because I was in environments that just didn't serve me. And I fundamentally understood that I was not broken. I was not necessarily bad. It was being in environments that didn't serve me. So I was having a healthy reaction to a circumstance that just didn't serve my best interests. And I think this is one of the biggest things that I speak to a lot, is that our environment has such a big impact on us. Yes, the circumstances we're born into, but the environments that we are in, the people that we are surrounded by, they impact us so much. We often become like the people we're around, like the 5 people we spend most time with. So it started to become more evident. as time went on, I was always listening to podcasts, which, you know, an incredible medium to listen to people, and their only agenda is to get to the truth. That changed a lot for me as well. I started my own. And then I just started to go on a journey of practicing yoga, because I was getting so much from this physical practice, because it was reflective, and I was really understanding my emotions as a part of the practice. And I think that's a big thing. The emotional
Okay, let me
landscape.
pause you because I
Yeah.
want to get into some nitty gritty of the stuff. What was the tipping point? Like, you went to prison 3 times, and for violence of some sort, and we don't need to get into the details of that. But what was the moment? Did you have a moment where you're like laying in prison, looking at the ceiling, thinking, what am I doing? Like, I've got to change my life. Did the prison system correct you because it's a correctional facility? Did it work for you and make you reset? Or was there something else that made you say, I've got to fix this?
Yeah. It was the feelings and the sensations that I was experiencing a long time after that. Like, I went to university and kind of just,
So you were still
I was still
angry Chris at university.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was. Yeah. I was in a different
Were you-
environment, so it did change slightly.
Were you good at the fights? Like, you're out picking fights. Were you good at it, or did you get whooped up sometimes too? These are the
Yeah,
kinds of questions I ask.
bit
I'm
of a
just gonna
mix,
ask
bit of
whatever
a
comes
mix,
to my mind.
bit of a mixed
I
bag.
grew up with fighters, man. I grew up with four brothers, and I had
Yeah.
some friends that loved to fight, and they were beasts, and they would pick fights just for the fun of beating people up. For them, it was enjoyable, and it was always unnerving to me to be around that. Anyway,
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
is speaking,
I mean,
that part of you is speaking to, there's a part of me that
yeah.
understands some of that.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you know, they don't last long.
Yeah.
Most don't. So they were always out in public, in clubs and
Yeah.
bars, and it was just, I didn't have much. I didn't take responsibility. I would always use the alcohol as a mirror, as a mask. And I think that's what happens. We justify things for ourselves. So there was no defining moment. I mean, there was many that I was like, this can't continue.
Yeah.
But really, it all came to a head when I went traveling, and 2 years on the road, like having incredible experiences, like really understanding more about myself, reading the Alchemist book, like really having these kind of what one would call my spiritual awakenings, but really are just like,
Yeah.
I'm actually feeling safer in my body, and my body is expressing certain things, and I'm connecting dots, and I'm understanding how I am, and how my parents shaped me, and what stories that I picked up on, and just having conversations with people that really helped me understand myself. But I came back to London.
Where did you travel? Like, I want to get into
Yeah.
some of these weeds, man. I'm just going to stop you when I want to hear some weeds. So
Of course.
where did you go?
So I got a one-way flight to Singapore, and I could return any time in that year, which
Yeah.
I knew, but it was a real moment of just like, I'm going. And yeah, I did. It was.
And why'd you choose Singapore? Like, were you in search of finding yourself, and that was the country that drew you in, or was it?
I had some friends.
You have friends there?
I had
Or-
some
you
friends
did
that
friends.
I was meeting in Malaysia, for like less than a week. But that was kind of my safety net of like, okay, I'm going to go there, I'm going to meet them, then I've got some time, and then I'm going to meet some other friends in like a couple of weeks. But I never ended up meeting them. And I realized after a few days of traveling, it's just the best to be alone. You're never alone. You're constantly meeting new people and just having rich experience and just in flow. So much is happening when someone goes to pick a one-way flight, doesn't have an idea of where they're going. I think there's so many ingredients to that experience. It should be some sort of national service that everyone just goes and picks somewhere and just travels, because it really brings. It brought me into the natural rhythms of life, like connecting to food, connecting to culture, connecting to just travel and spontaneity, and just having my bare foot on the earth for like, considerable periods of time, which is just not that common, and not being defined by the stories and the narratives of people around me. I was just in a very new environment, and it's just, it was everything. It was really heart opening. I was stepping more into the person I wanted to be, and that was significant.
Was there somebody that you met that helped guide some of that? Did you run across some old gypsy or some monk or something? I want to know these.
This is
where
great.
Did the
No,
influence
this is
come
good. You ask great questions because it's important to ask these questions to then get to the things that I may never think are, so big, but they actually are. So I met my future partner essentially, and she was a big proponent in the journey. Inspired me. She was so connected to life that I was just in awe of her ability to be present, like understand what's moving inside of her in any given moment, and just I was just in awe of this person that I then spent the best part of 10 years with. We're not together anymore, but I'm so grateful that we did meet, and it was a real big proponent of what
it was
allowed me to step into this better version of myself, because she didn't set off on my bullshit. I still had these tendencies to be dismissive and passive aggressive and just not take responsibility, but she really called me into that, and it was I'm just a better person for it. And women always ask, 'cause I do a lot of men's circles. Women always ask, how can I support or help? And I'm like, just don't settle for men's bullshit. It's really important that you set standards for yourself and the men you relate with. So it's a big piece. So I met her ultimately, and
There's
2 years. Go for it, Bri.
I was going to say, there's something about, Mike, have you been to an Asian country? Have you spent time?
No. Asia is my only sector of the world that I really haven't ever been to. I love travel, but I need to go on my list.
Yeah. I mean, and that's just being in that type of culture and the experience of the shock of culture when you step foot into a country where you don't speak the language, nothing is the same. I mean, from here to the UK, there's a little bit of a difference, but stepping into a culture that is unlike yours in any sort of way, I feel like is really humbling, and it reminds you you're not a big deal. There's so much that's happening. And so I'm curious to know, I mean, I've traveled to Japan and spent a lot of time there. The first time that you go, it's the true culture shock. So how was that for you in Singapore? Was that
it just
helpful for you?
allowed me to dismiss all these beliefs that I had about other people and the human condition. It's the world is not as scary or as yes, chaotic at times, but it's not as problematic as the newspapers and maybe your parents suggest. And that for me was everything, because then it made me question okay, if I'm wrong about that, what else am I wrong about? And it just really, it really supports. I think us all connect to this experience we're all having, which is all very similar. We have core needs. We have, we have similar wants and desires. But from a cultural point of view, so I went to Cambodia and spent the most of the year there, and the people I would meet and be around were just so grateful to be alive. I feel emotion, even speaking to it, because it really shows me how privileged I have been, but also how wrong some of the things have been in my culture. So
So this is, and you spent how long abroad?
it was about 2 years, so a year in Southeast Asia. Then
2 years just wandering the earth, trying to figure out. It's freaking awesome. It's like a vision quest.
Right.
I would love that. I need one of those. And I'm in awe of you, just so you know. So the way you felt about this woman who I'm like, man, how can I get even a morsel of this peace that you seem to have found inside your soul, because I don't have it. I'm wound up, man. It's bad. Right, Bri? Am I wound up?
Well, I think it's so funny when we started talking about the breathwork classes, there was almost this hesitation of I don't think anyone will want to do this. And I think that I think my response was, this is why you're supposed to do it though, because you don't
Yeah.
want to. And I think
There was a time in my life when I felt that same way about talk therapy. I was like, "Psh, I'm never doing that." Or medication, depression medication. I was like, "Psh, just go work out, man. Eat better. That's your depression medication." And then you realize you hit a certain capacity in life where it's like, it's too much. It's too much. And you start to have to rely on some of these things that have helped other people center themselves again. And I think we're just not equipped as human species to live the way that we live on screens and in the chaos of cars and media and the energy all around, and then the knowledge we all have of the things going on in the world, the wars and tariffs and opposing opinions and government shutdowns and whatever stuff. We shouldn't know about all of that. We have too much information coming at us all the time that it's so easy to fall into the trap of just being wound up by it all.
right.
And you seem to have found some kind of, in spite of that, you seem peaceful. What do you do? What can I do, man? I'm in trouble. What do I do?
It's a practice, right?
Yeah, there's an amazing book called A Beautiful Practice that supported me big time.
Beautiful practice.
Yeah,
Write that
talks.
down.
Thich Nhat Hanh is featured in it, who brought mindfulness to the West. But yeah, like years of reading books like that, like really, really cultivating what it takes to feel well, because we are all driven by our emotions. If you ask anyone what they do, why they do what they do, it's because it makes them feel good. It makes them feel connected. And some people might be of service to something bigger themselves. And I think that's another piece that in this hyper individualistic culture we miss. So that is something I could talk about as well. Like, what am I of service to? What's my mission? Because we have goals, but goals we can achieve and the goalposts move and we achieve them again. But like, what is a mission statement? And something that's never complete, but it's contributed to. And it's something I work with men a lot about, who don't have this purpose and direction, because we're in a meaningless culture. Like, where is our meaning derived from? And I did some street interviews and asked a lot of men, like, what brings you meaning? And people put it in other things. They put it in their children, or they put it in their job. But for me, it's not necessarily in anything. It's in a bigger concept that we can really be motivated by.
So what gives you meaning now for you?
Great question.
What is it?
It's creating more spaces like you experience that humans can then feel safe enough to access more of themselves. So I believe fundamentally, as children, we have two needs, right? Gabor Mate speaks about this. We have attachment and we have authenticity. And when our attachment need is compromised, we will sacrifice authenticity to get that attachment need met. And I do believe that.
Okay, define attachment need. What is that?
So
define that for me.
So we're reliant on our caregivers to provide safety, shelter, food.
So attachment to other people and connection with other people.
Yeah, ultimately. Okay. Yeah, so we need that. Like, it's linked to our survival. That's why a lot of us are challenged with like the sense of abandonment or being outcast, because it means death. So we need to be attached socially. We need to be attached to our friends and family. That's why these when we start to learn and lean into these practices, we can start to change and shift in our idea of self changes, and we might have to change relationships because we're having new awareness of how they're not serving us. But what does that mean? That sometimes feels like death. So the spiritual awakening actually sometimes feels like leaving friends and going to finding other friends. But that's a lonely period of time that we have to really like find like inner strength to go out and know that we can create a life that's better for ourselves. So yeah, but I digress.
But I like this though. How do you get the courage to actually do that? Like that's a transformative thing. Okay, I'm going to go find my new self, and it means abandoning some of who I was before. How do you get the courage to do that? Or how do you help other people get courage to do that?
Yeah, it's a great question. For me, the courage has always been that I believe we live within stories, and Zach Bush says we don't have 70 trillion cells, we have 70 trillion stories. I think our bodies are made up of these stories and these narratives of how we relate to ourselves and others. You cannot separate the mind and the body, they're interlinked. So I'm like, what story am I telling? And that's where my courage comes from. Do I believe that it is possible to live a life surrounded by people that care for me and love me, accept me for who I am, but also know the value I bring to them? I've always believed that it's possible to live in community and have people around me that really want the best for me and propel me forward. I do have that now. I have an amazing community of friends. And that was my motivation. That's where I got my courage from to step into that, because I believed it was possible. So I think the power of belief it can be a way to access more courage, because if you know something, it's not a belief anymore. It's like, it's a no. You don't believe in your parents. You know they're your parents. You know it. But so knowing something, like how can we really step into what we know is possible for ourselves? And this will lead into, the work you do. It's like really, yes, believing, but knowing it's possible, because we've seen it or we've felt it at times, but we can have more of it. So yeah, the courage piece is fascinating, but fundamentally we live in these bodies, right? We are human beings and we have needs, core needs. We have physical needs, we have emotional needs, and natural needs. Like a whole of my journey has been understanding what we need to thrive, what environment we need to thrive, but also like, what does the body need? I did a course in natural lifestyle philosophy, and that was when I was really searching. I was searching for things that made sense to me, but that I could really like deepen into and like spend a lot of time doing. Because I think the spiritual community and the spiritual kind of world that people, it's a lot of different things, but it can really betray us. And I got really, not betrayed, but I was disenfranchised, let's say, by the spiritual world at the beginning. And I really needed to find something that I could root into. And I was like, well, what I need to understand what the human evolution process has been like 100 years, life was very different. And even 1,000 years ago, like how are we the most prolific species on the planet? And I started to dive into this, like what does it mean for our bodies to be in important, but like how can we thrive ultimately? We live in the modern environment and we have toxins, we have social media, we have food, ultra processed food, we have so many things that that our ancestors just didn't have, and so much has changed in a short space of time for us. Yes, it's empowering and we can do so much for it, like what a better time to be alive, but I think the awareness needs to be there first and foremost. Tom Bilyeu, who has the podcast Impact Theory, do you know him?
Yes.
He spoke on a podcast once and he said, like, fundamentally, if you don't have the awareness of what it takes for you to thrive at this time in life, then you will suffer, because humans actually are born into this system. And if you don't develop the awareness of what it takes for you to thrive, like what you need to feed your body, how you need to sleep and get that need met, your social dynamics and how that best supports you, and breathing is a part of that. Like breathing, fundamental, how we breathe. I think there was a big study out. I know Patrick McKeown talked about this. Like most people over breathe, means they expel too much carbon dioxide in their day-to-day breathing, and they're dehydrated and they're breathing from their chest and their mouth breathing. Like it's a big aspect of our health, and it's changing, and people are like understanding this. The ancients knew it a long time ago. Yeah.
Okay, let me pause you. I got a couple questions.
Great.
Are we not supposed to breathe through our chest? Supposed to breathe through our, like, I'm going to get down to the nitty gritty.
Okay,
I'm doing everything wrong. I'm doing everything wrong on your list that makes you Zen. So we're going to go back. So I have that question. So breathing,
Yeah.
But like if we go into some takeaway tactics for people, and I know we did our breathing work and stuff, and I did learn a lot there. And I also learned that it's hard to breathe good. Like I felt like I was failing that test in there. Oh, now hold it for this amount of time. And I'm like, but I've got to breathe out, man, or I got to breathe in right now. I was like off pattern and stuff. And anyway,
Yeah.
where am I supposed to breathe? Like from my stomach? What am I supposed to do?
Yeah, your lower diaphragm, because you have more parasympathetic receptors in your lower diaphragm.
What's a parasympathetic receptor? Everything you say is going to lead to another question. So it sounds, I hear the word sympathy in there. So is it like some receptor that is cares more about me or something? What is it?
So the nervous system really is our interface of how we react to things and how we respond to things. So you have two very simple. So the nervous system can get quite complex. There's a quote that says, all diagrams of the nervous system are wrong, but some are helpful. So we have very simply two sides of the nervous system, the parasympathetic and the sympathetic. The sympathetic, spending time in each one of them is absolutely fine, but to spend a long time in one of them is actually a disadvantage. So it's how we state change. So fight, flight, freeze, fawn, collapse would be in the sympathetic side.
Wait, flight, fright, freeze.
Fawn.
I know fight and flight. Okay, flight, fright,
Flight. So you want to fight something, you want to run away from it, flight.
freeze.
It's easy to remember.
Fawn,
Fawn.
and collapse.
Yeah, some people say fold, but it's another one, which is it's a different. I like to bring that one.
See, I always hear fight or flight, and I think that, but I like this expanded version: fight, flight, freeze, fawn. Fawn is to love on something, or is that
Fawn is
where we're
responsible for also people pleasing is a good idea of that. It's very it can be very social. So we have like a social side of how we interact with other people, from how the nervous system interacts, and it can be just people pleasing. So
let's dig into this one, because I think that this is really interesting to me. So I would love to go down each of these and discuss some of our responses and things, so we have some piece of what we're talking about that's a little more tangible. But before we do that, is that okay with you to dig into that?
Yeah.
Okay. So before we do that, I do want to ask, you mentioned spirituality, and spirituality, the spiritual world betrays us in some ways and things like that. In my perception of people who have found Zen and these yogis in the world and stuff, and they have some understanding of some spiritual, we call it spirituality. Oh, this person's so in tune with their spirit and their spirituality and things. But it sounded like you went back to more of a Mother Earth perspective more than a spiritual perspective. But I would love to dig into that, like in your belief construct that is the foundation of how you understand the world. How does spirituality versus the human body versus evolution and belief in God and belief in the universe and where our existence, and I know this is a massive question, but to give me a foundation of how you perceive yourself in that giant mix of stuff, because I think it contributes to however you found peace here in your soul.
Yeah, for sure. I'm just trying to look at, that's it. There's a great quote that says nothing makes sense except in the eyes or in the light of evolution. So nothing makes sense unless in the light of evolution. And I think that has always been my way in. And yeah, if you have like a succinct question that would help guide my answer, that would be amazing, because it's a big topic.
That was a gigantic one.
Well, and I think too, like you talked a lot about like the stories. Like the stories are such a huge part of it. So like I was involved in EMDR, the practice of therapy that's in EMDR. And there's such a huge emphasis on like your inner story. And so, I imagine most yogis and those that are in spirituality, like there's a mantra or a self-talk quote or things that you can remind yourself, like what is your core existence and what is that? I mean, so do you have like a core mantra for yourself? Because with EMDR, it's like you say these things to yourself in moments of triggering response or trauma or grief or whatever that relates to in your story. But as you were traveling the world and in making these realizations, and as you teach these classes for men,
Yeah.
what is like your connection to your peace? Is that in a mantra? Is that in a moment? Is there like a place that you go? What does that look like for you?
Yeah, I do have one. It's I'm an innately connected, wild, empowered human being, and I have everything within me, born that I need to thrive. And it grounds me. I think our biggest oversight is, and our biggest abandonment is the abandonment from our planet. Right? It's a big topic, but it is the lack of connection we have for the places we go, and I
Right.
think that's only come about recently. In the last. Yeah, go for it, Michael.
I was just going to say, share your mantra again so that people can write it down,
Yeah.
because I think it's really interesting and it's different than how I operate in the world, and how I operate in the world, I know is not peaceful for my soul. I operate based on, okay, what am I going to accomplish next? And what's my story, but what are my achievements today and yesterday and last year? And that's what makes up who I am, is what I've accomplished. And yours is way better than mine. So say it again over, and so people can grab it.
I appreciate
Okay.
you, man. I appreciate the way you really honor you honor what I say a lot. It's interesting to like the relational piece between me and you is the self talks there, right? Of like how you relate to yourself. But I would reflect and say I can learn a lot from you too. There's a middle ground of this.
And how to be high strung and
Yeah, but
rattled and stressed
necessarily.
out. I can tell you what medications to take to go to sleep at night. This is the stuff that I can teach you, man. But you don't need it. Like, well, I mean, I don't know. Maybe
Yeah.
you take medication to sleep at night. But the point is that you have, like, you and I are like yin yang, man. That's how it is. That's how I feel. Like, even from the first like few sentences that you said, I was like, okay, this guy is the exact opposite of how I am wired and live and operate in the world.
I see us as all mirrors to each other, right? So what you see in me, you either lack within yourself, want more of, or there's mirrors there, and we can be.
Well, I lack it for sure, and I definitely want more of it. Yeah, no, I'm very self-aware that I do not have certain aspects of my life that should figured out that should bring me more peace in my soul. Okay, so where were we going with this,
so
Bri? You were gonna your mantra, man, your mantra.
Yes.
That's it. Give me your slow mantra for people to adopt this.
Yeah.
Meaning myself. Okay.
One of my mentors, Tony Riddle, who is the natural lifestyle coach, it's a part of his. I'm an innately wild, connected, empowered being, and I have everything I need within me to thrive.
Yeah, the connect, or not the connected, but I have everything innately in me. Is that what?
I have everything. I was born with everything in me that I need to thrive.
I was born with everything in me to thrive, and that just abandons this idea of getting your validation outside of yourself. And I think that is a humongous thing inside of the industry that we work in with creatives, because so much of your validation comes from someone else liking the thing that you created.
Yeah.
Ooh, did you like this? Here. And then they validate you. And then that's how you get your value in the world. And we're just so messed up mentally. So I love that yours is the complete opposite. And I would do well to adopt some of that into my life.
Yeah, amazing. I fundamentally believe that, and I think it starts really early on. Like we get a conditional love. I don't think many of us experience unconditional love. I know I didn't, and
I get it from my dog.
you don't, yeah.
Like, honestly, I think that's the
You know.
only place you get it, really. Honestly, a dog will love you. It's so good.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
does. It does feel good. I think it's possible, but yeah, like
You do? Okay.
I love you unconditionally. Yeah. So
I
the
think,
unconditional. Yeah. go.
and I was just going to say, like, I think sometimes a constant characteristic of people in the creative world, there's a challenge with not overthinking everything. I mean, because when we're talking about mantras and self-talk and breathing and just exploring and wondering, some of this stuff is so simple and it's so hard for creatives to turn their brain off. And I think that's why the breathwork was so difficult for you, Mike, was that it was like you had to turn your brain off, and it was hard for you to even remind yourself to breathe correctly. There is no
I
like
heard
incorrect
you
way to
breathing.
breathe.
This is how messed up I am, because I heard you breathing over there, and I was like, "Dang, Bri's doing so much better than me." That's what I was thinking. Like,
And this is
I
like
was
the
turning it
toxic
into
trait of creatives.
It's so bad,
But it's-
but I'm so competitive. Like, that's what I start thinking, and it's so messed up in the way that I
I don't think
operate
it's
in the
messed up.
world.
I think it's natural for people who are their complete identity is on the things that they do for other people or the achievements that they make. And so to me, it was so, when we said retreat for More Palooza, for me, that was the biggest part of this is, Chris, your practice and the cold plunges were such a small part of time wise of all the things that we did that week, but it was the most impactful thing. And to me, it was because of the stillness, because of, them having to connect to their body. Just even the anticipation leading up to, everyone was kind of like antsy and stirred by it, but there was connection with themselves. And then with those who did the actual practice had stuff that came up that they talked about that was more than just their achievements and the things that they're doing for work. And so there was this, I loved it. I think it's something that we have to incorporate for anything with More Palooza, especially for
I
you.
do too. We'll fly Chris to wherever we do them in the
Right.
future and have him
I think
come.
that'd be awesome.
Just make the whole thing 2 days of Chris fixing everybody.
He does this.
And
You should go to
that
one
would
of
be
his
good.
men's retreats. I think you should do it.
Oh, let's do it.
Okay. Well, I obviously would benefit greatly from it. I think that's very clear to me.
Incredible.
Okay. So I think for the sake of time, because it's such a big question, is how does spirituality and our earthly body and mortality, and are we just dust in the wind and all of that? That's way too big to handle unless we make that our topic from the start.
Yeah.
But I would like to go back to this fight, flight, freeze, fawn, fold idea, because I do think that is something that happens. We deal with clients so much. And so this is something that I see with creatives where we're prone to fold. That's what it is. And we're prone to fawn. Like we love our clients, we love our work, we have this emotional attachment to it. And then any kind of resistance, it's rare that a creative is going to go into fight mode. It's common that they'll flee, that they'll just want to get out of the room and just want to quit their job and just want to whatever. But folding and collapsing and just giving in to that contention is so common. So talk about each of these and like how our human response is and why it happens. And I mean, you're talking about evolution of the man, and where do these responses come from? Let's discuss.
Yeah, for sure.
I know that's a very organic question, but
It's a beautiful question, and I
start with fight.
I really believe that this should be fundamental education for everyone. It should be in schools. We should
Yeah.
understand these things from a real like start level of like how we respond to things from a primal animalistic level, but also as like, you know, the prefrontal cortex responsible for rational thinking and thought, and what happens to like a fear response when we don't feel safe or we feel scared. Because when we can understand that, and I'll go through the sympathetic responses, we can then understand it, and we know how to respond to these within us, because we want to come back to safety always. We want to feel safe in our bodies, and that is the fundamental state to be doing any kind of inner work, any kind of healing, any kind of, you know, resolution of anything, of like understanding when we're stressed and it's like, okay, how do I change this? How do I act from a place that is going to be more beneficial for me and others? And you have to be in the sense of safety when you do that. And I don't think many people know that. Like in relationship, you're constantly fighting. It's like no one's healing, no one's like changing from that state. But when you come into and it's very somatic, it's very in your body. So a biggest point of view could be an animal, right? When an animal fights, they experience in their body more adrenaline, increased heart rate, muscle tension. Like they're ready. They're not thinking. All your blood rushes out your brain and it goes into your limbs and extremities. You experience more anger, frustration, defensiveness. And it can, we're ready to fight. We're ready to hold a boundary. And that's not wrong. You know, sometimes we need that. But when someone's just asked us a question in a meeting and we're in this response, I don't want to hurt them, like, what's going on? It's like, okay, so now we've just been triggered. And that's the trigger is when a body response, so activation in my body, wanting to like leave, which would be flight, or wanting to fight, which would be stay and defend. So when we're triggered, that is like when our body's response doesn't match the circumstances which we're in. You know, and everyone might look and be like, what's going on? Like, I often see it as like life, there's always music playing. But when someone's dancing out of rhythm to that music, it's very obvious. Mm-hmm. So when someone's triggered...
I also do that. I have a problem there.
I knew you were going to say that.
It's, you did, yeah. Yeah. Good.
Well, some people do. It's an example of like, everyone, there's this kind of energetic, okay, that didn't quite match that. So, but it's nuanced. Like, is it a trigger or is it actually warranted in this situation, which it might be? So, yeah. But that, you know, there's a number of reasons underneath that of why that could be playing out in someone's life. But I'll just go through them. Also, just to name, I'm not an expert on the nervous system. This is just something that I've, you know, from a base level of understood is like fundamental to any transformation to happen. So the flight response would be restlessness, and again, increased heart rate, maybe shallow breath as well. Anxiety, wanting to leave and being hypervigilant. Also like really looking and you know, deer in headlights and wants to, and you can withdraw like from things. It could be overworking. I'm running away. Like these are the behaviors, obviously quite simple. And then the freeze response would be like immobilizing, collapse, not collapse, because I think that's another state when we go into more victim mentality. That's collapse. Why me? Like it can be a collapse state. But the freeze state is more like helplessness, disassociation. When someone's not really paying attention, that can really be like, I'm here, I'm not leaving, I'm not trying to fight, but I'm really dissociating from the situation. So shutting down, going silent, like unable to act. And again, there's obviously reasons for these states to occur. You know, a freeze response, and fundamentally, these responses are really like they're natural. They're needed for our bodies to survive. All you know, we're wired for connection or protection. I would say very simple: protection or connection. Which state am I in? Connection or protection? And often it's one or the other. Hopefully, it's connection more. So the freeze would be an animal just like unable to caught in someone, the
Deer
tiger.
in the headlights.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The tiger
Yeah.
catches
Thinking
the
goats.
antelope and then just plays dead because it just can't do anything else.
Yeah.
And then the fawn is really interesting because it's often in social situations, it's like tension masked as friendliness, or like the fear of rejection. Do you ever get that where you need
yeah.
from someone else to approve of you because your sense of self is actually wound up in someone else. There was a quote once which really hit. It's like you've got your own self-worth wrapped up in someone else's opinion. So, my self-worth doesn't come from you. It's within me and it comes from me. But that can often be in that state. So, yeah, overgiving, things like that.
That's a major creative
Yeah. Major.
agency owner characteristic.
Yeah.
Yeah,
For
maybe
sure.
we just need to do a 101 on the nervous system responses because these are like
yeah, man.
these are
Seriously.
windows into ourselves, right? Just to know, I was in that response today, and how we state shift as well. Like, what tools do we need at certain times? Like, for these different states, there's going to be different things that are needed. If you're needing to fight, there's going to be need for shaking or some discharge of energy because there's so much within the system, and maybe it's a slight touch on your arms or just a hand on your heart, just like and a mantra, just say it's okay, I'm safe. Often these are like childhood responses, because we have these parts work IFS. We have an inner child. They live within us, and they're trying to signal to us that what they need. And we have an inner teen and an adult and then a parent too. So there's like different parts of us that which we can relate to and like really understand ourselves more. But yeah, that's a bit of a one-on-one on the sympathetic side of things.
So let me ask you this question, because you were a fighter and you had that inside you. And this is more a question because this is how I feel a lot. Like I am one bad decision away from turning over tables and trashing some place that I'm in because I had bad service or something. Like I feel this rage inside me so often, and I'm not at peace. This is just full disclosure. I'm not at peace very often because I just feel like I'm just always trying to bottle that up. Is that, and I know that there's some kind of genetic code built into the warrior man from who knows whatever millions of years ago. But do you apparently have figured out how to turn that part of you off, or at least control it into some better states. What are some of your thoughts on that? Or do you feel it like, does every dude, I've never asked anybody else, but do you feel that all the time? Like you're just ready to rage?
Yeah. So
you do? You're saying yeah, or you're like confirming that I asked a question?
Confirming the question is valid.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you a question. Do you feel like, how do you relate to your anger? Is it okay?
Bottle it up. Bottle it up. So maybe it's just a powder keg, man.
Yeah. So do you feel like it's okay to be angry?
Not to express it.
Yeah.
Not to express it. I think I feel like I'm not allowed to express it.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the culture that we live in, where we have these not natural norms, but they're social norms. Where is there space for anger? Well, if you were to,
no, man,
even in your home, like the neighbors might think this, or they, if someone's being angry, it generally,
that makes me a bad dad or whatever. I don't want to be a bad dad because I got mad at my kids. So you just stuff it down.
100%.
I'm the master, man. I'm the master of stuffing down my emotions. That I got dialed in. But I realize now at age 53 that that's not a healthy way to live. And I'm trying to figure out how to live better. But yeah, I've got a lot of stuff down stuff. And anger is one of the things that's just stuffed down in me. So you don't feel that anymore. you did at one point, right? You felt
Yeah.
anger and fighting, and
It used to rule.
you don't feel it now?
Used to rule my life.
Yeah.
But what I did, another unhealthy thing, was went all the way into the feminine sides of me, which, softness, it's creativity, it's very important. But I rejected all of the things that got me into trouble, which was my anger, which was the hardness and the directness. And all emotion, I will say, is innately feminine. Like anything that's moving, it's feminine, it's expression. That is feminine. However, the things that are often surrounded by anger are often can be masculine. So I went into the feminine. I rejected all the masculine sides of me. I thought anger's bad. I'm not doing that. Not for me. Just put myself in environments that I could just be soft and gentle. And then I punched a hole in the wall one day.
Yeah, I've punched a hole in a wall.
Yeah, and I was like, whoa, that's not me. What happened there? And do you know what? That was really liberating, because I understood in that moment, staring at this hole in the wall, that it doesn't go anywhere. And actually, me even thinking that it's gone somewhere is really problematic. So then I had to go and spend a lot of time with men in containers that were supportive, that were safe, that I was allowed to express, that I did a coaching program with someone who all he did was create the space, the necessary space for me to be angry and develop a new relationship to that anger. And he would just tell me to go and tell me literally go for the heavy expression, pillows, shouting, and sadness would always come. Like it's often for men, it's the anger is incarcerated around the sadness, and then incarcerated around the grief. That I think is another big topic. But to keep it.
Can't open up that one.
Yeah, not just yet.
Not enough time.
Yeah, but yeah, that anger is really important. It's so important. Do we also understand what it is and what it's linked to? Like it's linked to our yeses, our nos, our boundaries. Like we need this fire. We need it. It is the warrior. It's the protection that we need to have access to. And what I experience is a lot of men that don't have access to that anger. That if we could just turn it on, we could, in a very healthy way, very direct, very responsible way. But we don't, because we have this story that it shouldn't be there. So for me, it was about expressing it. It was about getting it out and just learning how to meet it, because it's a destructive energy. We all know that.
Yeah. So how often? I mean, you allow yourself to feel anger now.
Yeah.
Right? You're okay. And how often do you feel it? Is it like it was before, or are you more balanced in your life?
Yeah, I am. It doesn't rule me. When it comes, I make space for it, but I can be really intentional with that space. I can really channel it, and I can create the necessary space for it. And do you know what? One place that I really found was a good space for expressing anger. The only place that I found that no one would judge me, no one would get afraid, was underwater. Because I know you can get those pods in meeting rooms where no one can hear you, but they're pretty good. But I used to go underwater under the North Sea and really let this rage out.
In the North Sea, man, that's the scariest. I follow the North Sea Instagram, man. It's freaking terrifying. It's terrifying up
Not
there.
as terrifying as Chris with his anger underneath the water.
Yeah, I know. So is that is that what's going on in the North Sea? It's like that's all your anger coming out.
Yeah. Well, the sea can hold it, right? It does, and it's an amazing.
That's
place
interesting.
To go.
So you go underwater and scream and yell and get it out. Is this your how often do you still have to do that?
Yeah, not that often. When it does come up, when getting arguments and I don't feel fully met, and I'm they're not considering me, and more like.
Do you say that kind of stuff in arguments? Like you're in an argument with someone and you're like, I just don't feel fully met, and you're not considering my freeze and fawn modes right now. Is this how you talk to people?
Do you know what?
In yours.
A lot of the time it is, yeah. I don't.
It is okay.
I have to read the room, right? But
Right.
full transparency, I try and bring that as much as possible. But sometimes I ask permission, like, can I share what's just like
You
happened?
do. See, I
Yeah.
have none of these skills, man. I
Yeah,
have none of those.
I've been the last 3 years I've done authentic relational courses, and it's changed everything. Like, yes,
Wow.
we can get these things, we can understand the nervous system, we can have the tools and tricks, but when the shit hits the fan, it's inaccessible to us a lot of the time. So I'm with you. It's life's challenging, and we get thrown curveballs, and it's like, how do I even communicate? Like, I don't think not many of us know. I work with a lot of men that they don't really know how to communicate, and that's not their fault. They've never been taught. It's how do I make sense of what's happening in here? Sometimes I don't know, and how do I communicate that? And yeah, I think the communication piece.
You don't communicate. I mean, society, like I can blame my dad, but he could blame his dad, who can blame his dad, who can blame his dad on why men don't communicate. It's such a common problem, and it's crosses boundaries, man. I mean, I've traveled all over the world, and it's some places it's way worse than other places, but most places it's very common that the man is just bites their tongue and doesn't communicate any of their feelings or thoughts or needs or wants or whatever.
Yeah.
It's unhealthy. I got all the unhealthy things.
It's but I think it's important to name, like, at the moment in culture and in the West, in the world, like, men are our roles in work, in life, in the home have changed quite considerably in a short space of time. And I think what we're going through is a real crisis of identity. And a lot's being asked of us. We're being asked to be emotionally attuned. We're being asked to support and protect and provide. We're being asked quite a lot. And it's up to us to meet that and be embodied and be leaders. And it's a big
But
conversation.
genetically, we're like cavemen who are just going to go kill a dinosaur. Like, that's
No.
bottled up inside of us.
Yeah. If the house isn't on fire, what's the problem? It's like, we're good.
Yeah, exactly. Everything's fine.
It dawned on me a while ago, and I'll just finish with this, that women, their life depends on communicating to others what's going on for them, because they bear children. And I think ancestrally, women would have that their survival would have been dependent on asking for help and communicating what's going on for them. Men is a completely other way around. Our life would have depend on not communicating, connecting to our emotions, because it would have got us killed. So really kind of having that, like, and that is the masculine, it's holding. It's not going into the emotion. So that, and also our lives just didn't depend on asking for help. Like we were doing it together, but it's a piece that it's important to register. Like, we're just living in a very unique time, and in what has been tens of thousands of years, very similar.
Yeah, and it's challenging because there's no manual for it. You went to Singapore, Cambodia, met some gypsy monk, and read a lot of books and took courses to finally figure out something that was making you operate properly, in my opinion, in the world that we live in today. And nobody does it, man. We're all just we're just a mess. Society is a mess of people who don't have skills to operate in the world that we actually live in today.
It starts with a breathwork class and ends with you going to one of Chris's men's workshops, I think.
See, you're going to push. You've mentioned it twice, so it sounds like there's a. She's like,
I've
that
already
sounds
put it on
good,
your
Mike.
calendar.
You go to that. Go to that. I'll pay half. This is what Bri is thinking. I do realize that I have some work to do. All right, we could go for hours and hours on all of this stuff, and I have a million rabbit holes that I could ask about and go down, because I just find it all so fascinating. I find people in general fascinating when you start peeling back layers and talking about things that really matter and not just the surface of stuff. And I'm glad that you were open to sharing some of those things. got a lot solved, Chris, and you've other people feel it on you. Many people who did the breath work and the cold plunge and stuff have expressed that since we did that. So thank you for taking us all through that. Thank you for being on our podcast and sharing some of those insights that you've worked so hard to achieve in your life. So we really, really appreciate that.
Yeah.
Where can people find you?
My website, thechrisgeisler.com.
The Chris Geisler. And we will link it in all the show notes and things. And you have your social media handles on there as well.
Yeah.
I know you have an Instagram. I was watching some of your videos this morning on Instagram, and yeah, you're so peaceful, man. So I'll be tuning in. You're my spirit animal. This is what is happening.
I love it.
We're really grateful.
Okay.
Yeah.
So thank you so much. Bri, do you have any final thoughts as we wrap up?
No, I just think it was an incredible experience to work with you, and it really set the tone for what we feel is part of the More Palooza retreat. So we've set the bar on what to expect for creatives on this event.
It's all gonna suck for those wellness parts are gonna stink after this.
Right. So don't be surprised if you get a call and we ask you to go to Mexico or Morocco or something. So
Yeah.
we
Thank you,
appreciate
guys.
you.
I love how transparent, how open you are to explore new things also and meet your own edge and be really honest about that. It's incredible. It's very inspiring. Like, it's really probably, I judge it's helping a lot more people than you even realize just by having these conversations and being really, human about it. And
I hope so.
yeah, thank you.
I hope so. I don't want to, I'm sick of the surface, man. Everybody's just on the surface of everything. And I like to get into the weeds and have real connection, real attachment and authenticity and more protection and connection, man. This is what I want to have. I don't want the spiritual world to betray me anymore. So
I love it.
see all the things I learned? So good. All right, Chris, thank you so much. We will link up. Everybody follow Chris if you want some peace in your life. He has been on a lot of podcasts, and I'm going to look at your men's retreat. Bri will send me the link, I'm sure. Here, you should sign up for this.
I already signed you up. It's on your calendar.
You did.
Pack your bags.
I heard going in November. There's some truth to that. Thank you, Chris. We really appreciate your time. And thank you again for working with our team in London. That was so fun. Very memorable experience for all of us.
Yeah, beautiful. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you.